Alright folks, welcome back to episode 2 of the pond build. Before I get any further, let me back up a little bit to last video. I talked about cost of building a retaining wall. I did forget two costs in there. One was the geofabric that I used. Bought a roll of that's like 45 feet long. I'll be able to use that on both sides of the wall. That was like $70 before the rebate. And then I used several tubes of that landscaping glue. It's like landscape 500 or something like that. I bought a whole box. I'll end up using it on both sides of the wall. That box was like $77 for that. As we're talking about costs, let me wrap up the cost for today's part of the project, or this part of the project. Turn you guys around. So I got myself 25 feet of this perforated pipe with a built-in sock. That was $68. Got a flexible elbow. That was $6. That just extends me just far enough so I can have a drain on that side of the wall and on that side of the wall. And then I had to get the connector piece there. That was like $1.50. I had some zip system tape laying around that I'm going to use to tape everything together. That way it's all nice. So that'll be the cost for what I do in today's video. So before we talk about layout, let me turn you up time. Currently this is what the back of the wall looks like. There used to be a rock retaining wall a long time ago. It's fallen. I've stolen rocks off of it for different things, and it's just kind of degraded ever since then. But I want to use those rocks. Probably not the rubble, probably not the broken CMU. There's a rock over there. Get rid of that glass. Cut all these weeds out. I think there's a rock in there, hidden in there. There's a couple more rocks and rubble, but get all that cleaned up, and then once all that's cleaned up, then I can put the drain pipe in, start using the dirt from the excavation behind the wall, and then once I get high enough to actually use the geogrid, I can lay the geogrid back over. So layout wise, we are going to go off the green lines. The waterfall center is right off of here. Okay, so it's going to fall into this pool. It's 2 feet spillway, so that's about 3 feet wide there, maybe a little bit less by the time I cut it and carve it and put rocks on it. It's going to be a little bit shallower, but that waterfall will, come in a little bit. So nice little, let's call it a 3 foot by 3 foot landing pool there. Probably be, a foot or two deep. This square is going to be my swamp filter, or whatever they want to call it, biofilter or whatever. So the water will fall into here and then kind of pool, because it'll kind of be dammed up a little bit on this side. There'll be another waterfall that falls in, but it'll pool up in this side, and that's when it'll allow it to filter through all the rock and stuff like that. There'll be like a drain pipe in here that filters everything out, but it's gonna fall down, and this won't be gravel. It'll be like bigger rocks, and it'll kind of form. I want it to fall over a little bit, maybe kind of creep back its way this way, come back this way before it falls into this side. That white square will be a concrete bench, but like I said, fall into here. Maybe do a little bit more water falling right here. We'll see. Maybe have like a long fall, maybe just a whole bunch of little falls. I don't know yet. We'll see once we get there. But then we're going to open it up to where all the green is over here. Get over here. So this green right here is actually my walking path. So I'll probably end up using more red brick, bring it in and tie it over to that side of the food forest. But I want the pond itself, so the waterfall coming in I was just talking about is over there. It's going to go all the way up to that walking edge, and then come back around right up to this walking edge, up around to the edge of the fig row, go up, and then kind of loop back around. So that's going to be a lot of digging. Now, all that being said, it's not all going to be deep, because let's just say we're coming in from this side. The little white is kind of my progressive walk-in right now, minus all this junk right here in the middle. When this is all done, this will either be maybe a partial deck from the shed. This will be my walk-in way, so I can get all the way over to the Fig Alley, walk down Fig Alley, or come in here, walk down the side of the food forest and get to the bench. So natural into the pond would be about right here. So this area, see, it kind of says C. This was kind of part of the original layout, is what we're calling the conversation area. So this area will probably be, you know, a good drop down, maybe like a foot deep, drop into a foot deep right here. On that side it says B for beach. So this will be kind of a raised up area. I only want like an inch or two of water right here. Be a lot more kind of a, you know, let's just say waterfall comes down here and maybe it kind of curves, right? Because it's going to hit this beachy area. It'll still throw some water up on the beach, and that's where birds can do their bird baths and bees can land and do all that kind of stuff. Really deep end right here. Have it really, really, really deep, probably like 3 or 4 foot deep. Maybe, like I said, still thinking about maybe doing like a, you know, underwater bench kind of general area, maybe up against that wall. We'll see, don't know quite yet. But then over on this side, I'm gonna get like some of those Adirondack chairs, Adirondack, however you want to say it. Put them like one right there, one right there, and that I want to be just deep enough to where when you're sitting in the chair, your butt's probably only like an inch off the water. So your butt's not gonna be in the water, but your calves and feet will definitely be in the water. And that kind of gives you, like if I was to sit over here, kind of gives you like this view right here. You'll see the waterfall kind of falling down. Doubt you'll see it in the creek, but you should just be able to see it off the filter falling into the pond. If any birds are over there bathing, you'll be able to see that. And that's where the fire pit is over there. So I think it'll work out. So for now, that's the layout. And we are right in the midst of a heat wave, so I'm gonna go ahead and start digging. Why not? I mean, all I can do is pass out from heat exhaustion. You know, it is what it is. So I'll take my time and I'm gonna start digging. Probably just get the layout done first, and we'll see how that goes. All right, folks, so I am on day 3 of digging, only a couple hours each day, because like I said, heat wave. So I got the initial dig done, and I got some stuff laid out, so let me turn you guys around. Okay, so this is kind of what I'm looking at right now. This square and this square right now are like little, I call them little steps. They're 2 foot deep, 3 feet wide, and about 4 inches thick, and I got 2 of them. So I was thinking I'd, you know, bring them in here and have you step down on that one. That way, as soon as you step in, you're probably sitting at maybe an inch of water or so. Step into that one, you're down to 5 inches of water, and then you'll step onto the beach / sitting area, conversation area. These 2 squares are Adirondack chairs, and I figured that'll probably end up being, you know, foot to 18 inches deep. I'm gonna have a skimmer box in the back there. I just haven't got it yet, so I don't want to dig the hole too big. But kind of like have this nice little edge in here. Between the chair and the edge is like 16 inches, so I figure that's plenty of room to walk around it, hopefully. Yeah, hopefully that'll work. But then that gives this whole area right here to be your deep end. Over on this side, I'm probably going to end up taking this a little bit more out to go around this pot. And my thought with this pot is to have maybe a secondary pump, pump up from the bottom, do like the bio balls or whatever inside of it, maybe some plants on the top of it, and just kind of have it like pour over onto the beach area and kind of create a current that way around. And then over here, this is where we'll come up to the bog filter system. Probably have a nice little waterfall right here, and then stream, bog filter, all the way up until you get to the waterfall here. As you can see, I did run the pipe, and I've actually started to backfill the wall. All this backfill came from digging the first round of holes, and it's already up to the geogrid, guys. When I was building the wall, I did put 4-inch pipe underneath the wall so I can run that plumbing through. I also did the same thing on this side, so I can run some 3/4 inch conduit. All this rock here actually came from the old retaining wall that was back there, and I've actually found, ooh, too far zoom. Come on, zoom back out. Found some rocks actually as I'm digging, and I went to the nursery and picked up a whole bunch of plants here. Can't remember what they all are. Got some irises, got some milkweed, got some I don't think I got lemon balm. I already have like I already have a bee. See if I can zoom in on him. Oh, he disappeared already. There was a bee on the purple flowers back there. And I got those columns actually from my dad. Just had them laying around, so that's going to add to it. I'm thinking it'd be kind of cool to do some kind of like spitting fountain right here. Just kind of spit some water into the deep end. I think that's always been kind of cool, a little novelty, but kind of gives this area something. Originally I was thinking about maybe doing like a Japanese maple or something right there, but when you're sitting in the chairs, it'd block the view of the waterfall. I mean, even a spitter fountain might do the same thing unless I put it right up against the edge, but you know, I think it's just kind of cool thing to do. So like I said, that's the initial digging. 3 afternoons, probably 2 to 3 hours each time, and I was able to get the initial digging done. Hopefully we'll see how things go. Hopefully I can start getting some of the deeper stuff dug, and once I get kind of an initial deep dig done, then I can measure and actually get an accurate measurement for the liner, because I think that's going to take probably about a week for me to get that liner. So I'd like to try to get this done next week or so. That way I can actually enjoy it most of the end of July and into August. Alright, so let me get back to digging. Alright folks, that's another wrap on another day of digging. So I'll turn you guys around here. Before I do, let me tell you, I've been using this Ryobi tiller, and what I've been doing is kind of using the tiller to kind of break things up, and then dig it, throw it into a little 5-gallon bucket, take it over to the retaining wall, throw it over to the retaining wall, rinse and repeat. So let me turn you guys around and show you what I got. Alright, so this is where we're at. This is the tiller I'm talking about, a little 40-volt Ryobi. Do have an old tree root. Tree's gone, so that should pop out pretty easily. I did find an old sprinkler line that was kind of running right through there and kind of stopped. Been noticing like right where it stopped is actually kind of a gravel pit area. I don't know what that's all about. And there's another sprinkler line, abandoned sprinkler line in the bog filter area. But basically just got one more shovel deep on the deep part here, and I know depending on how much water level is, this whole area might have to come down to this level. But we'll see once I get the skimmer over there and installed. But as of right now, this is just a couple more hours worth of work, and we're making progress. So for now, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this video up because I'm expecting a couple days of rain, and it's just going to be more digging anyway. So I'll bring you guys back on the next episode when I have everything dug, and we'll see what the next step is. Thanks for watching.